Yo, what up, world? 502 King Paul. Hey, man, so I'm going to try to make this video as quick as possible because I'm running short on daylight here. But just a disclaimer before I even hop into this, I am going to be telling a crazy personal story in this video. I mean, it is crazy, but it's very much true. And it goes along with the topic of this video, which is the worst thing that you can possibly do when you break up or leave out of a toxic relationship. And at the age of 19, I got my heart broke, y'all. It was my first heartbreak, and I'm telling you, I was so depressed. I was so down. I was just so lost. I had lost my self-identity. Just a really rough patch in my life, man. I'm telling you, and it did not help at that time that I was going heavy with drugs, meaning I was taking, drinking lean. I was smoking weed very, very heavy at that time. I was also popping pills occasionally as well. Coming out of this breakup, I was just trying to numb myself and just keep on going with it. So instead of me taking the time to heal, what I did was I just kept on dating. I already had other girls that were wanting to spend time with me, wanting to date me, and I just went ahead and kept on going in, to the next girl, going to the next girl. And most of the relationships really didn't last that long. Just kind of getting into them still because I wasn't in a good place. I was not fully healed. I didn't take that time to work on myself. So I was just carrying baggage from one relationship to the next relationship and just getting rid of them. And for real, I mean, looking back on it, there was nothing wrong with the women who I dated after that relationship. It was just that I personally was not in a good place, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. I just did not take that time to heal like I needed to. So go on, man, and I ended up meeting my daughter's mom, and we had a relationship, but, it did not work out. We left and went our separate ways, and afterwards, man, I got into, I would call it more of a monogamous, man, and this was with a very good woman. She was very loving, caring, cooked for me all the time, really in my life in a multitude of ways, did everything that she could to treat me as a king. And to be honest, man, I just did not appreciate anything it was that she was doing because, again, I was working out of a broken place. I did not take that time to heal. And she would often tell me, you just seem like you don't care, like you don't have any feelings, like you don't have any emotions. And I realized that I was not mentally, spiritually, emotionally healthy at that time. Even though I thought that I had healed, I just really didn't understand that I was still a very much broken person at that time. And this was years later by that point. When I was 19, that was the heartbreak. Some years later, I meet my daughter's mom. We have our relationship that ends. I get into another, just like an entanglement, because again, we didn't actually, make that commitment to each other and say, okay, this is what we're doing. This is how we're moving forward together as a unit. And to be honest, man, we were so involved with each other that we should have made that known, what it was that we are. So that's some relationship advice I'm just throwing in there right now, is that don't stay in something too long and you don't have any idea of where you all are going, because you're just wasting time and life is too short for that. So anyways, I'm talking to this girl who's, extremely, caring, loving, taking care of me at a time that I really wasn't able to take care of myself. Really did the whole, trying to build me up thing. And, I really had a good time with this lady. But anyways, during this, situation that we have going on, this other girl, young lady, whatever you want to call her, she starts making passes at me and, showing that she's interested in me and all of this stuff. So, me and her start talking, kicking it, and eventually it leads to sex. Now, this is where the story gets pretty crazy. So the first time that I had sex with this person, and I'm not going to go into graphic detail on that, don't worry about that part, but the first time that I had sex with this person, I look down, I look at her, face, and in the middle of us having sex, I literally, and I know it's going to sound crazy, but I literally see my ex's face on this woman's body. I literally see, like clear as day, I see her face on this other woman's body. She didn't look anything like this woman. She wasn't built anything like this woman. I mean, two completely different people, but I saw her face and it just, first it creeped me out. I was like, whoa, what? You know, just to make sure. And I'm looking at her face. And again, just like, she looks just like my ex. And I'm gonna be honest, y'all, just where I was at the time and how, and looking back on it, man, it was really just a spirit of, man, a lot of things going on for me still. Spirit of perversion, obviously, because, you know, we're not talking for hardly any time and we're just having sex. And then I looked down at this lady's face, seeing my ex, and the same one that broke my heart when I was 19. And I didn't, you know, we didn't stop. I was actually turned on during that time. I'm telling y'all, this is a personal story, but I'm telling out all of this. So, you know, we have sex, and needless to say, man, we go through that relationship, and it was toxic, man. It was toxic. Actually, it was worse than the toxic relationship that I had at the age of 19 with this other woman. So I think, with all that being said, I think that God was showing me two things in that moment that I did not listen to myself on, and I continue going on with this situation. He was showing me, firstly, that you're not over this other, the one that broke your heart at 19, and you're just running through and having sex with all these other women. You did that just carrying over baggage from relationship to relationship to relationship, and you never truly took time to work on yourself and get over this first person, to really figure out who you are as a person, to love yourself, to not just be sleeping around with these different women. So that was number one. I did not take the time to heal. I think number two, what God was showing me in that situation was that this woman had the same spirit with her that the first woman had. And I think that was my warning sign. At a time where I'm drinking heavy, I'm smoking heavy, my mind is not clear. And with my mind not being clear, spiritually, I was not clear either. I did not receive what I was supposed to receive in that moment. And when I tell you that, you know, if I would have listened to myself, that if I would have been in a clearer space mentally, then I could have avoided that. I say all of this to say that when you come out of a hard relationship, toxic, unhealthy, that time to work on yourself, man. And also, I wanted to share that experience because I want y'all to know again, soul ties are real. My soul was still tied to that woman that I dated at 19 years old. And now I'm I'm into my 20s, and I'm still tied to this woman, but I'm sleeping with these other women. Man, a lot of people think that when they're in these toxic relationships that, you know, you just have to go along with it. For one, you lose yourself. You lose yourself. You start losing the love for yourself. When there's so much disrespect and, you know, even sometimes abuse inside of relationships, you have to be able to value yourself enough to know that you are better than that situation. You are truly better than that toxic situation that you were in. You have to realize that even though you're going through this, you don't deserve this. And a lot of times once we come out of those situations, we find ourselves in even more toxic situations or other unhealthy relationships because we are not healthy ourselves. Let's say that, you know, in your head, it didn't take you anything but a few days to get over that relationship. Let's say that you find a healthy person that's ready to date, that's ready to love you. Where you're at spiritually, emotionally, and mentally at that time, coming out of a crazy relationship, anything that was toxic, especially if there was abuse, you're not ready. You wouldn't be ready to receive that. I told you I dated this woman that did everything for me. Anything that you could think of. Beautiful, took care of me well, loved me, all of it. But I wasn't in a place personally to where I could receive and reciprocate her love back to her. So, you know, you don't want to be unfair to other people. You don't want to be unfair to yourself by just hopping into relationships just because you're lonely, just because you're horny, just because whatever. You just want an emotional or physical connection with someone. You can't just hop into these relationships, man. And I'm telling you something, these soul ties can be very strong. And people also traumatize situations with people, abusive situations, toxic situations with folks, you can trauma bond with that person. That's why a lot of times, man, you find where people have been treated like absolute crap inside their relationship. They've been mentally, physically, emotionally abused, but yet they're very stagnant. They do not want to walk away from bad situations. You'll find where people who, there's women who have been, completely just brutalized by men, beat down, put inside the hospital, all kinds of things, and then still turn around and go back to that person. It's because you're remembering the small amount of good times, the very, very small amount of good times, and then you're forgetting everything bad. You're forgetting all the trauma. You're forgetting all the BS, all the stress, all of the chaos that you had to go through when you were inside of that relationship. It's not wise for you to just carry this from relationship to relationship to relationship, man. It's not very wise for you to do this. And a lot of people, man, I'm going to be honest, they have this connection through trauma with these people, and they convince themselves that it's something else. I'm going to tell you something, man. There is nobody who looks good enough. No one's whose sex is good enough. Let's get down to the bottom of it, because a lot of times that's what people tend to miss, quote unquote, from other people who they've had relationships with, is the sex. Oh, the sex was great. This person, they was just so fine. He was so fine. She was so fine. That is not a good enough reason for you to stay inside of a situation like that. That's not a good enough reason. There are beautiful people all over this world. There are people who could blow your toxic ex out of the water when it comes to sex. And I know that, we reserve sex for marriage. That's what you're supposed to do. But I realize what majority of people do. So I'm going to speak on this from a real point of view. There's nobody whose sex is good enough for you to stay inside these situations. You have to learn how to learn how to go through a period where you are just fasting from everything, fasting from sex, fasting from dating, fasting from giving your time and energy to other people, solely putting that energy on you. So many times we go through these relationships and we lose who we are. We forget what it is that we love to do beforehand. We forget what our dreams and aspirations were, because now our new life is centered around someone else. That's why when they leave, we're all confused on what it is that we want to do. Or when we leave the situation, we're still just as confused, because we don't know what it is that we want to do. We've lost our own identity. And there's nothing worse than forgetting who you are. Listen to that voice on the inside. I told y'all this crazy story for a reason, and it's very much true. I never had experienced something like that before, but that's when I really started to realize, shortly after that the whole soul ties, it was something spiritual about sex. Something spiritual. Before then, I was younger, man, in my early teens and in high school and all that. And I'm having sex, and I'm just thinking, it's just sex. This is just us doing what we're doing, but not realizing that this spiritual encounter, and that you are creating a bond with this person. So be careful about who it is that you create these bonds with. Be truly careful, and take that time to work on yourself. Also use discernment. If there is something going on, say if you're dating someone and you have a feeling about this person, or something crazy like that story happens in your life, you have to realize when God is showing you certain things. I didn't think about that story until years later, but it's the absolute truth, man. I saw another woman's face, my ex's face, on another woman's body. How crazy is that, man? God is real. The spiritual connection and bonds that we make during sex is very much real. And most importantly, man, you have to love yourself. And after relationships, take that time to heal. Take time to work on yourself. Take time to grow. Take time to read books. Educate yourself. Work on yourself physically. Keep yourself together. So many women leave relationships and they just don't take care of themselves. They start to fall apart. They're laying around the house, just not taking care of themselves. So many men. And, and it's fewer men, but, it's still some men out there that, You know, when you really invest yourself emotionally with someone else and you have that spiritual connection with someone else and memories with someone else, you know, you have to take care of yourself. I see a lot of dudes let themselves go. So make sure that you're loving you first, man. Love you first. Forgive yourself for whatever it is that you did inside the relationship. Realize that it takes two. Forgive that person for, you know, doing whatever it is that they did. You know, sometimes you just got to be real with yourself and just tell yourself, man, you know, that person, that guy, he really got over good on me. I mean, he really played me good. But it's cool, man. The beat goes on. You keep on going. Sometimes you got to tell yourself, yeah, this girl really played me. She really, you know, ran that game on me. She got me for everything, financially, spiritually, emotionally. She got me thinking that she's a good woman. And turns out, played you. It happens, man. It happens to the best of us. You cannot meet not a man nor a woman who has not been dating in their life and been through some type of real heartbreak, man. It happens to the best of us. But I'm putting out this video because I want y'all to know to take care of yourself, man. Love yourself. Love the life that you live, man. You are the only person that has a life like you. You are the only person that's just like you. If y'all like anything about this video, anything at all, make sure y'all go down below, like the video, also comment, let me know what y'all think as well. I'm curious if anybody else has ever had an experience like this before, because that was absolutely crazy. And I was so out of my mind that I really didn't take heed to that warning I was receiving in that moment like I was supposed to. But let me know if y'all ever had anything like that before it happened to y'all. Also, if you have not subscribed already, make sure y'all go down below, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. So as soon as I drop videos, man, as soon as I drop them, y'all get them. I'm getting more consistent with it, man. So hopefully y'all enjoying the new content. Hopefully, you know, these videos are impacting your life in a positive way and educational for you as well. 502 King Power, man. I love y'all. Y'all stay blessed. I'm out.